My name is Elena Monroe, and I'm 29 years old. And this year, just as snow dusted the sidewalks, as the smell of cinnamon and turkey floated through my childhood home, my family finally discovered something that shocked them. I'm not the quiet failure they always whispered about behind my back. I'm not the background character. I'm not the afterthought. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. It all started with a toast. My mom lifted her wine glass and, with a dramatic sparkle in her eyes, announced to the table, "Your sister Ava just bought a gorgeous new home. 3 bedrooms. Custom cabinets. Isn't that wonderful?" I knew right then this dinner was going to crash and burn. I hadn't even cut into my turkey when she leaned back and said loudly, "When are you going to settle down, Elena? You're almost 30. And Ava, her voice dipped in that syrupy condescension, smirked into her wine.
"Yes, sis."
"Any plans to join us in the real world soon?" The table laughed. Light chuckles. Forks paused. They were all waiting for me to laugh too, like I always did. But I didn't. Instead, I smiled. Not the polite, fake one they were used to. This smile was steady, like I knew something they didn't. Something they never bothered to ask about. I looked straight at my mom. "I already did settle down," I said. "I just didn't invite anyone who doubts me." Her face flushed so fast I almost laughed. Forks froze midair. Conversations died. They looked at me like I had shapeshifted, like I was a stranger. But this moment, this reckoning, had been building for years. Because for as long as I could remember, I was the invisible daughter. Ava was the star. The one who glowed. The one they praised from every rooftop. And me? I was the quiet one with books in my hands and dreams in my head. Let me take you back. To a tiny cul-de-sac just outside Minneapolis. To a childhood of shadows, plastic trophies, and one-sided pride. Have you ever sat at a table full of family and felt like a stranger? If that sounds familiar, tell me below. I'm listening. In part 2, you'll meet the version of me they never saw, the one writing essays at 1 a.m., working double shifts, and carrying silence like a secret. The road to that dinner started long ago. And it's not what you think. It always started with Ava. She was 4 years older than me, a born performer. If there was a room, she knew how to make it a stage. By the time she was 12, she'd collected trophies for dance, volleyball, and even a school-wide popularity contest. Yes, that was a thing. And my mom, Teresa Monroe, the master of family PR. She made sure everyone knew Ava's latest accomplishment, from neighbors to second cousins in Wisconsin. I was 9 when Ava won a local dance contest. My mom turned our living room into a literal celebration hall. Balloons, banners, a cake shaped like a trophy. People clapped like she'd won gold at the Olympics. That same year, I won a statewide writing competition. You want to know what happened? I left the certificate on the counter. My mom glanced at it while pouring coffee and said, "Oh, that's sweet, honey. But look at Ava in this dress. Doesn't she look like a real star?" She held up a photo of Ava mid-spin in sequins, glowing under stage lights. And just like that, I disappeared. It didn't stop there. When I was 10, we had a family picnic planned. I'd been counting down for weeks. That morning, Mom came into my room with her purse on her shoulder and said, "We'll have to cancel. Ava needs a new prom dress. There's a sale today." I asked if we could go after. She didn't even pause. "Elena, your sister's things are more important right now." 1 year later, I had a piano recital. I'd practiced for 3 months. I looked out into the audience, searching for her face. Her seat was empty.
"Why?"
Ava had a volleyball match. "You understand," Mom said later. "Your sister needs me. People are counting on her." Funny how no one ever counted on me. Not for greatness. Not for promise. Not for much at all. At family parties, I stayed tucked in corners while the world revolved around Ava's hobbies, her hair, her new friends. After the noise died down, my cousin Nina would find me. She'd sit next to me on the porch and whisper, "You know your mom has no idea what she's missing out on, right?" I'd nod, say nothing. What was there to say? I didn't need applause. I just wanted someone to look at me and see me. Let me ask you this. Have you ever done everything right and still felt like it wasn't enough? Drop a heart if you've been the overlooked one in your family. In part 3, you'll see how I clawed my way into college alone and how Ava's champagne life was quietly funded by someone else's sacrifice. What happened next? Let's just say it opened my eyes. By the time I turned 18, the favoritism wasn't just about trophies and parties anymore. It had evolved into something deeper. Money, opportunities, choices. When Ava graduated, my mom sat her down at the kitchen table with a stack of glossy college brochures. All these community colleges are nearby, she said with a proud smile. It'll keep you close, surrounded by people you know. It's perfect. What she really meant was, I want you close.
We'll pay.
Don't worry about a thing. Tuition?
Covered.
Books?
Paid.
Car gas? Pocket money? Food? All taken care of. Ava floated between classes and parties, changing friend groups like outfits. Every time she passed a class, Mom called it a victory. She's networking, she'd say proudly. She's figuring herself out. And me? When I said I wanted to attend a state university to study digital marketing, something I'd researched for months, my mom barely looked up from her phone. That's expensive, Elena, she said flatly. Maybe think smaller. You're a practical girl. My dad mumbled something about scholarships as he grabbed his coat and rushed out the door. And that was the end of the conversation. So I got to work. I stayed up till 2 a.m. filling out scholarship forms. I picked up a part-time job at a coffee shop. I steamed milk, scrubbed sticky counters, and did homework during 10-minute breaks, all while my sister was bar hopping. When the acceptance letter came, with a full financial aid package, my mom's response, well, if they're paying, I guess you can go. No dinner. No champagne. Not even a hug. I moved into a tiny dorm with peeling paint and a radiator that hissed like a snake at night. Still, I was proud. I was building something. Meanwhile, Ava finally earned her associate degree. My mom planned a huge dinner at an Italian restaurant downtown. Appetizers, family speeches, toasts. She's always been such a hard worker, Mom said, raising her glass. I smiled tightly. My cousin Nina nudged me under the table with her shoe and whispered, this is wild. You should have brought your diploma and waved it around like a flag. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was true. When I graduated with honors, I didn't get a dinner. I got a text. Congrats, honey. Your sister's busy. You should call and tell her all about it. No celebration. No toast. No photo op. That moment stung. But it also made something very, very clear. If I waited for my family to celebrate me, I'd die waiting. So I stopped waiting. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Chicago. It was drafty. The pipes moaned at night. But it was mine. I took an entry-level job at a scrappy little marketing agency. We didn't have a fancy office or free snacks. Just tight deadlines and a boss who needed everything yesterday. I managed social media, wrote ad copy, analyzed data, pitched clients, anything that landed on my desk. I stayed late. I taught myself new tools watching tutorials on mute with leftover noodles in my lap. My mom would still call. But the conversation always circled back to Ava. Your sister might be moving into a nicer neighborhood. She just got a new bonus. Her boyfriend's talking about proposing. If I ever brought up my job or life, she'd say, that's great, sweetie. But Ava's just doing so well, don't you think? So I stopped sharing. Let them think I was just getting by. Let them think I was surviving, not thriving. Because when your own family only sees you as a placeholder, you have one of two choices. Break or build. Drop a heart if you've ever felt like the only one cheering for yourself. Sometimes, being your own support system is the strongest thing you can do. In part 4, the dam cracks. A holiday dinner, a spotlight moment stolen, and one sentence that turned a lifetime of silence into a family reckoning. You don't want to miss what I said next. It was Christmas Eve. The kind that looks magical in photos, soft snow falling, twinkle lights on every house, the scent of cinnamon and roasted garlic in the air. This year, dinner was at Ava's dream home. and it looked straight out of a lifestyle magazine. White lights draped the windows, matching ornaments on a 12-foot tree. A charcuterie board so elaborate I didn't know if I was supposed to eat it or frame it. I pulled up in my old hybrid, parked down the street, and stared at the house. Part of me wanted to turn around, go back to my quiet house by the lake, reheat some pasta, and fall asleep to a true crime podcast. Instead, I grabbed a bottle of wine and knocked on the door. Ava opened it, wearing a red cashmere dress, her hair perfect, lashes curled. She hugged me lightly, the way you hug a coworker you barely like. "You look nice," she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Kind of simple, but nice. Classic Ava. Inside, my mom had taken over the kitchen like it was her own domain. She turned when she saw me and air-kissed my cheek. "I'm so glad you could make it," she said like I'd been the one begging for an invitation. Dinner was loud. Laughter, clinking glasses, stories flying across the table like snowballs. I kept quiet. Polite smiles. Vague answers about work. Then it happened. My mom tapped her glass with a fork and stood up. The room quieted. "I just want to say how incredibly proud I am of Ava," she beamed. "She bought this beautiful home. She's building something stable. Something real. This," she gestured around the room, "is what it looks like when someone truly has their life together." Then she looked at me. "Elena," she said, too loudly, "when will you finally settle down?" I blinked. Ava's smirk widened. "Yeah, when are you going to stop pretending you're still in college?" she said. "You can't live in that shoebox apartment forever." The room went silent. Forks froze. One of my cousins let out a soft, nervous laugh. I could feel every eye on me. The old version of me would have smiled, nodded, maybe made a self-deprecating joke. But not tonight. Tonight, I had a key in my purse. A house key. I set my fork down, looked right at my mother, and said calmly, "I already settled down. I just didn't invite anyone who never believed I could." There was a flicker of confusion on her face, then panic. "Oh, come on," she laughed nervously. "You're renting. That's not the same as—" "I'm not renting," I said. "I bought a house. Months ago. 3 bedrooms. A view of the lake. Office in the back. Paid for it in cash." The silence that fell was thick. Tangible. Someone gasped. My aunt's fork hit her plate. My uncle stopped mid-sip. Ava laughed.
"Yeah, right."
"You bought a whole house? In cash? Come on, Elena. No one likes a liar." Then, like a queen reclaiming her throne, Nina spoke up. "She's not lying," she said. "I've been there. It's real. It's stunning." My mom's face dropped like a curtain. "Why would you buy a house and not tell your family?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Because every time I tried to show you my life, you changed the subject to hers." She blinked fast. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You didn't care when I graduated with honors. When I got promoted. When I built something. You only cared when Ava got something shiny." Mom's voice was sharp. "That's not fair. Your sister worked hard for this house." "Oh, you mean the house you helped her afford? With what? Your retirement fund? Your credit cards?" Vanessa flinched. "You don't know anything about my finances. I know you were short $10,000 on closing. I heard you ask Mom to pull from savings just this once." Again. My mom's eyes widened. "You were eavesdropping?" "No," I said. "I was refilling the ice bucket. You were just loud." The tension snapped like a branch in winter. "You've been draining her dry," I said, while she told me I needed to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. So I did. While you were collecting handouts, I was building a life. Ava's eyes narrowed. "So you think you're better than me?" I laughed.
"No."
"I just think I stopped playing a rigged game." I pushed my chair back. Stood up. "Elena," my mom called out, her voice now shaking. "We're not done." I turned to her. I'm done begging to be seen. I'm done shrinking myself so Ava can shine." And then the most unexpected thing happened. Nina stood up. "I'll walk you out." We moved past stunned faces and stepped into the cold night. As the door closed behind us, the sound of Christmas music faded into a muffled hum. My chest was tight, but it wasn't fear. It was something new. Freedom. What would you have said at that table? Drop a comment below. I'm dying to hear. And if this story reminds you of something in your own life, keep listening. The final part, I'll tell you what happened after the storm. The silence. The fallout. And the moment I realized I didn't just walk out of a dinner. I walked into the rest of my life. 3 weeks after that Christmas dinner, the family group chat fell quiet. No more all-caps texts from my mom bragging about Ava's throw pillows or garden renovations. Just long silences. A few awkward memes from a cousin trying to break the tension. One uncle asking if I was doing okay, like I'd survived a storm. The only person who messaged me like normal was Nina. One night, she texted, "They're still talking about you, you know. That lake house bomb? You're basically a Monroe family legend now." I read it sitting at my dining table, cat curled up beside me, cup of peppermint tea steaming in my hands. I looked around, at the walls I painted myself, the bookshelf I built with Nina, the quiet view outside my window that looked out over the lake, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years when it came to the word family.
Peace.
A few weeks later, I invited Nina and her parents, my Aunt Lynn and Uncle Rick, out to visit. They arrived with too many snacks and not enough coats. We cooked together, played board games, walked the trail by the water. At one point, Aunt Lynn stood quietly at the window and said, "I'm sorry, Elena. I should have said something sooner. I saw how you were treated. I just didn't want to rock the boat." I didn't snap. I didn't cry. I just said, "You see it now. That's what matters." As winter thawed into spring, updates about Ava started trickling in, always through Nina. Her job had let her go. The promotion she was counting on? It never came. Her credit card bills ballooned. The mortgage? Too much. Eventually, Ava put her house on the market. The dream home that earned her a standing ovation?
Sold.
Not to upgrade. Not to move up. To pay back the mountain of debt she'd buried herself in trying to look successful. Then came the calls. My mom, Teresa, left voicemail after voicemail. At first, angry. How could you embarrass your sister like that? Family doesn't turn their back. Then they softened, pleading. "We're still family, Elena. Ava just needs a little help. You have money now. You could loan her something, just until she's back on her feet." And then, buried deep in the middle of one late-night message, words I never thought I'd hear. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I hurt you." I sat on my porch listening to them all. One by one. The lake was still. The breeze cold against my face. And I realized something. An apology doesn't undo years of being invisible. It doesn't erase every time I was expected to clap for someone else while biting my tongue. It doesn't mean I owe them the pieces I built when they weren't looking. So I called my mother. One last time.
"Mom," I said.
"I'm glad you're starting to see things more clearly. Really, I am. But I can't undo the fact that for most of my life, I was the one left out. The one who had to be okay, even when I wasn't." She was quiet. "I'm not going to clean up someone else's mess just because you think I owe the family something. I love you, but I'm done." I set boundaries I never thought I'd have the courage to draw. Fewer calls. No more financial talks. No guilt tripping me into playing the silent supporter ever again. And when those lines were crossed, I blocked. I muted. I chose peace over performance. With the energy I used to spend chasing approval, I started doing something else. Helping other women find their own voice. I started volunteering at a local women's center, helping women who felt trapped by family expectations or financial fear figure out how to build freedom. We worked on budgets, resumes, side hustle ideas. I listened to their stories and saw pieces of my own. The forgotten daughter. The quiet one who always had to be okay. The one no one checked on because she looked like she could handle it. And if there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's this. Being the background character doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've had to learn strength in silence. It means you know how to build a life that no one saw coming. And sometimes, that's the most powerful thing of all. Because families can play favorites. Siblings can soak up all the light. But at the end of the day, you are the one who lives with your choices. You are allowed to draw the line. You are allowed to say no, even to your mother. You are allowed to build something unshakable and protect it. And if you grew up in a house where your worth was always measured next to someone else's reflection, you can still choose yourself. Even if it breaks tradition. Even if it breaks hearts. Sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is walk away from people you love to become someone you finally love. Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. If this story made something inside you stir even a little, let me know. Drop a heart below if you're reclaiming your peace. Because you deserve to be the main character in your own life.